We are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
I'm Ryan.
And before we get into episode number 26 of season 3, you guys know the deal. I got to talk to you about a few quick things. First off, if you are new to the channel, please make sure to like and subscribe. And also, we are now on Spotify. So if you are currently listening on Spotify, thank you. And then also, if you would like to listen on Spotify, the link to that page is in the description below. You can either listen on audio or video also. So both options are available to you. So if you happen to listen while you're driving, click that audio. And if you want to sit down and watch your favorite Detroit Pistons podcast, Revved Up 906, you also have the visual. Also, if you happen to be tuning into this week's episode, but you aren't so much into long form content, you can follow us on Instagram. That link is also in the description below. So on Instagram, we try to post 2 to 3 clips weekly, debate topics, hot takes, also just updates on things going on with the Detroit Pistons. So if you want to be in the know with all the inner workings of the Detroit Pistons, make sure to follow us on Instagram. Without further ado, let's get into episode number 26 of season 3. And we got a good one for you guys today because, as we know, with every offseason, there's a lot of things going on in the NBA and with the Detroit Pistons. And Ryan, I'm excited for today's episode because we're just going to be covering all things current with the Detroit Pistons, from controversy with Malik Beasley to the NBA top 100 players and the Pistons that are on that top 100 list. And then we're going to start off with today's episode talking about the Eastern Conference top 10 players per NBA.com. One thing I want to note before we get into this top 10 players in the East is Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum have been left off the list due to injuries because they will not be playing during the regular season of this upcoming season. So Ryan, let's get into it. At number 1, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. Not a big shocker there. At number 2, we have Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks. I have mixed emotions on that. We'll get into it. Number 3, Donovan Mitchell of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm a big Donovan Mitchell guy. Number 4, Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic. And the great and powerful Cade Cunningham at number 5. Joel Embiid at number 6. Number 7, Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 8, Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. Number 9, Karl Anthony Towns of the New York Knicks. Number 10, the hated Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. Ryan, obviously, this is a pretty good list. The Eastern Conference overall is at a pretty good state of talent and players making waves in the NBA. What are some of your first thoughts of Cade at 5? I'm overall happy with it. Well, where's your head at?
I'm perfectly fine with him at 5. I think he could be higher still. And honestly, if anything, I think he's number 2 if he isn't at 5.
Okay.
And that's no disrespect to Paolo, but if you take into injury consideration this past year, obviously there was a dip in his play, and therefore you could have him bumped down. Cade gets bumped up a little bit from that standpoint. Totally. Honestly, though, Paolo was tearing it up before his injury. So it's probably 50-50. It's closer than what we may think it is, because a lot of fans, when we had our first Cade Cunningham or Paolo Banchero episode, were on our heads about Paolo being better than Cade, which I completely, at that time, I'm like, okay, I can understand it. But now it's like, I don't know. I think Cade's better.
He put it on notice.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then you look at 3, like, honestly, Cade is better than Donovan Mitchell. He is. Because Donovan Mitchell he is great. I mean, okay, when you get to the top 5 players on this list, they're all great in their own ways.
Yeah, toss up. It's a
Donovan Mitchell is a great offensive player. Defensively, he's lacking. He's a great shooter, but there's a reason why the Pistons didn't draft him, and I don't know what that reason is, because I thought it was a stupid reason that you passed on him, but you went elsewhere. But no, at that time, but like, Donovan Mitchell, there's a reason why Cleveland lost. There really is. Like, they couldn't handle Tyrese Halliburton, and they couldn't handle the squad that they assembled. And yet you look at that team in the regular season and just how dominant they were. It didn't seem like any game they didn't have a chance. They always had a chance. And to see just the collapse and Donovan Mitchell completely disappear. So to me, like, when the spotlight is on, stars show up. And Cade showed up multiple times. The only reason why the Pistons lost that series is because the refs were literally rigging it. And I'm not trying to be like that, but they were. So I think he could be higher than Paolo just because of Paolo's injury this past year. I think he can be higher than Donovan Mitchell because Donovan Mitchell is only a one-way player. He can only score. Now, I'm not saying Cade is drastically better defensively, but he is an upgrade over Donovan Mitchell. You'd rather have Cade defensively than Donovan Mitchell defensively. So with that being said, and then also facilitating-wise, if you're wanting a guy that can do it all, go get Cade. If you want a guy that can score, go get Donovan Mitchell. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And then Donovan Mitchell is also aging. Not to throw that out there, but I am going to. Jalen Brunson at 2, I think he shouldn't even be at 2. I am perfectly fine if they stick him at 5, where Cade is at. He should not be at 2. The reason why he should not be at 2 is because of what I just went off of with Donovan Mitchell not showing up with stars. When the spotlight is on you, stars show up. Jalen Brunson did not do that against the Indiana Pacers. Why? Because he's not a star. He's just a great role player, a great starting caliber point guard in the NBA. That's what he is. He's not anything more than what you would expect him to be. But everybody seems to put that star spotlight on him like he is one. But he's not. He's just a great player. And this is not me bashing him. I'm actually complimenting him. He's a great player. Usually I would sit here and bash him. But he really is a good player. So to me, just when the spotlight was there, he just didn't show up and relied on Karl Anthony Towns to show up, which, what does that tell you? That means that Cat is the star of that team, right? That's what that should say. But Cat didn't show up because he sucks on defense. And other ways too. But Giannis at 1, I can understand because it's the Greek Freak. There's no reason why he wouldn't be 1 on this list. The only bone that I have to pick besides Brunson, honestly, Mitchell, is, and this is in regards to Mobley and Brown getting disrespected. Embiid should not be at 6. I'm just going to throw that out there. Embiid hasn't had a completely healthy season in how long? And he's at 6? Like, really? Like, what didn't Evan Mobley or Jaylen Brown do that Joel Embiid did that last year? Well, Joel Embiid did nothing. So you would say, okay, Mobley and Brown should be higher on the list. But the NBA is biased, as always. So this list I'm not surprised with. So I am content with Cade at 5.
Before I get into Cade at 5, I want to note, I think Karl Anthony Towns and Jaylen Brown should switch. Brown's at 8. Cat is at 9. I think they should flip-flop those. I'm not a big Jaylen Brown guy. I'm going to put that out there for the record. Karl Anthony Towns, I think, yes, stunted defensively, but man, his offensive repertoire is just, oh man, it's just absolutely killer. Something to note is that we did do an episode a couple months ago, right before the Pistons and Knicks went into round 1 of the Eastern Conference. We did a Cade versus Jalen Brunson episode where we compared their stats from that season and basically came to the conclusion that Cade Cunningham statistically and eye test on the court is better than Jalen Brunson. So that's why I think it's a little crazy that, they have Brunson at 2 and Cade at 5. Those should probably, I would probably lean towards maybe Mitchell at 2, just based on how good of a season the Cavs did have last season during the regular season. Put Brunson at 5, and then Cade at 3 or 4. You can kind of toss that up between Cade and Banchero. Like you said, we did compare those two guys 2 seasons ago when the competition was a little bit closer. I think Cade has kind of up to the ante on Paolo a little bit. That's obviously debatable. A lot of NBA, general fans are going to think that Paolo's better. But that can be given or taken. So, obviously the list, it's always controversial, opinionated. Statistically, it's always hard to compare and contrast because then people that don't like stats want to give the eye test. Oh well, when you watch an NBA, that they make a bigger impact in these games, these types of things. But obviously, when you look at the list too, no one's really complaining about Giannis Antetokounmpo being at one. He's so good right now for the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's get into talking about the NBA top 100 players of the whole history of the NBA. And we had 6 Pistons players highlighted on this list. And Ryan, basically, we're just going to kind of talk through the players and see if we agree where they are at. The NBA put Joe Dumars at number 96. He was a 2-time champion, 1-time finals MVP, all NBA 3 times, and all-star 6 times, and all defense 5 times, averaged 16.1 points per game, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and nearly a steal per game. Do you like Joe Dumars at 96?
Absolutely not. He should be higher. Okay. And I mean, for obvious reasons, he was a crucial piece to the Bad Boys. He really was. He was honestly the quietest piece out of all of them because obviously you would think of Isaiah Thomas, you would think of so many before Joe Dumars, but Joe Dumars was very, very crucial to those championship teams, really.
Yeah.
And so to me, having him at 96 is kind of like, come on. Because then you look down the list, and yes, there are a lot of great players on this list because they're the top 100 ever. But I'm sorry, I'm taking Dumars ahead of a couple of these guys. But I mean, the next one we're going to be talking about is a little low in my books, but I would not have Joe Dumars ahead of him, to be honest. But yeah, I think 96. I mean, for him to be even on this list, great. But I do want to make note when Bleacher Report came out with this list, and you think of some guys that were notably snubbed. The name that did come to mind that isn't a Piston was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is not on the list anywhere. And to me, that's kind of like, okay, wait, how isn't he on the list based off this season alone on what he did? So I really don't know what the factor is for getting your name on the list, but then I also don't know what the criteria is for being ranked a certain way. So I don't Bleacher Report with this list. I'm sorry, but I'm questioning it. And it's not because of this one alone. There's many others, but this one was a question mark for me.
Well, especially with Shai, like you said, adding that championship to his hardware and an MVP this past season, he should probably be on that freaking list. 91, Chauncey Billups. He has, as far as accolades, 1-time champion, 1-time finals MVP, 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, and 2-time All-Defense. He averaged 15 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 41% from the field. When I think of Chauncey, I think he should be higher. Obviously it's a prestigious list, so it's like, okay, I'm not going to super complain, but I would think he's higher than 91. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
100% higher than 91. I love Chris Webber, but higher than Chris Webber. Because when you think of the impact on your prospective teams alone, don't take stats out of it. If you want to bring stats into this, take stats out of it for a second. Take the eye test out of it per se. But when you think of the overall impact that the player had on their team, Chauncey should 100% be higher on this list. And honestly, I love Chris Webber. Go blue. But should be higher than Chris Webber. Should be higher than Earl Monroe. Should be much higher than Draymond Green. I'm sorry, Draymond Green. I'm a Michigan native. I'm going to always support my guys. But Chauncey is 100% better than you. And you think of the impact that he had. You take and see, this is not me disrespecting Draymond Green. But if you take Chauncey Billups away from the going to work Pistons, that team doesn't go anywhere. And
Right.
that's not me disrespecting Ben Wallace, because Ben Wallace is by far my favorite Piston of all time. He's my favorite player. I got to support him. It's literally Big Ben. But then you have Rasheed Wallace. You have Tayshaun Prince. You have Rip Hamilton. You literally have by far one of the best teams ever created and put on the floor in NBA history. And you take Chauncey Billups away, what does that team do? Nobody knows, because it didn't happen for a reason, because he was that impactful. Draymond Green, you take him away from the Warriors. I'm sorry. Now I understand there's the clutch situations with the Cavaliers versus the Warriors championship runs, and I understand his role in that, but you take him away. Steph Curry is still one of the greatest players in NBA history. Klay Thompson is still one of the greatest three-point shooters in NBA history. You have Andre Iguodala, who is by far one of the better wings in NBA history. Like, the list goes on. They had Kevin Durant. They don't need you, Draymond. You're not the most impactful player on that team. You take them away, they can still win. It's going to be probably harder. I'm not disrespecting Draymond Green and his play at all, but like, you just go down the list. Like Alonzo Mourning at 87 should be higher, just throwing that out there. But Chauncey should be higher than Alonzo Mourning. Tony Parker should be higher than Tony Parker. I love Tony Parker. But like, the list goes on. There's so many guys on this list where I'm sitting there going like, how isn't Chauncey higher? Like, it's Mr. Big Shot. He is by far one of the better point guards in NBA history, and it's widely regarded that way. And I don't think he gets as much love as what he should get, to be honest. Because when you think of the Pistons, obviously you think of Isaiah. And then outside of Isaiah, honestly now, because of the younger generations, you're thinking Cade. You're not thinking anyone else. So to me, Chauncey has to get more love. Honestly, the going to work Pistons, we mentioned that with Rasheed finally getting inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame, and how much love he's been getting with that. And we both made note, like, he should be getting more love than what he's getting right now, but he just doesn't, and we don't know why. I mean, we do partially know why, but the point is, like, Chauncey should be getting 100% more love than what he's getting on this list, because him at 91 is completely disrespectful, especially when you have Draymond Green right in front of him, 3 positions ahead of him at 88. Like, come on, people. Bleacher Report, get it together.
Well, and I would even argue the next player we're going to talk about, 82, Bob Lanier. I would say Chauncey probably deserves to be in front of Bob Lanier because, one, Bob didn't have a finals MVP, didn't have a championship. He was only an 8-time All-Star, which is impressive, and 20 points per game. But I would probably say even Chauncey should probably be in front of Bob Lanier. What do you think with Bob Lanier at 82?
I am perfectly fine with Bob Lanier at 82. I was actually shocked to see that he was ahead of Chauncey. I was also surprised to see that he was ahead of Joe, to be honest. Because, and this is no disrespect to Bob Lanier, because Bob Lanier is great. He is fantastic. One of the better Pistons in NBA history, for a reason. But like Chauncey, I'm taking Chauncey over Bob Lanier. And that's not just because I'm younger and I can't respect my elders, because Chauncey Billups, guess what? He is an elder to me still. So I can respect them, and Chauncey should be ahead of him. And also, I'm just going to throw this out there because I'm just looking at the list again. Jimmy Butler at 83. I'm like, come on. How is Chauncey not ahead of Jimmy Butler? When you think of impact, yes, Jimmy Butler was impactful on the Miami Heat with their historic run to the finals that one season, but he couldn't do everything. Why? Because that team wasn't built to win a championship. No offense, Pat Riley or Eric Spoelstra. But no, Jimmy Butler ahead of Chauncey. Oh, but yeah, Bob Lanier, I'm fine with him at 82. I wasn't expecting him to be that high. I was expecting him to be a little bit lower. But this list is weird because you have Chauncey where you had Chauncey, but you had Jason Tatum at 91, which I don't understand that at all. And you have Jimmy Butler ahead of him, and you have Draymond Green. No.
Well, so Butler hasn't won a championship.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't won anything. And there is a reason why he was as late of a pick as he was, because nobody wanted him. But no, this list is completely and utterly subjective. Like, this is completely opinionated. There's no like smartness at all through here, because Chauncey should be ahead of Bob Lanier, and this is no disrespect there, but Jason Tatum should 100% be ahead of Bob Lanier. Like, I'm sorry, I love me some Pistons, but like, come on, people, like, get it together. But yeah, Bob Lanier at 82, perfectly fine with that. I'll take that. I mean, he cracked the 80s, which Chauncey couldn't do, so or Joe. So I'll take 82.
Next Pistons player to be highlighted is Grant Hill at number 79. Some of his top accolades he was a five-time All NBA, seven-time All-Star, and Rookie of the Year for the historic Detroit Pistons. Key stats: 16 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.2 steals per game, and 48% from the field, and a total of 18 seasons played in the NBA. I think some of the most impressive things that I just highlighted was the total seasons played with 18. Ryan, you happy with Grant Hill at 79?
Honestly, yes. Could he be higher? Absolutely. Could he be lower? Based off this list, yes, you would say so. But no, honestly, I am perfectly fine with him at 79 because if you take away the injury, honestly, and my dad always says this, and I would believe it. The common phrase that's always said is he quite literally could have been talked about with LeBron and Jordan in regards to some of the best players in NBA history, because the way he played was different back then than a lot of guys. He played much more like the NBA today in the style of play. So I'm perfectly fine with him at 79. If we're talking all top 100, the fact that he had that significant of an injury and yet he's still this high on the list, I'm taking it, honestly. This is a win for us Pistons fans. The fact that you had that injury that was so crucial to him, and then just you think of what he could have been and then what he was, I'll take 79 out of Grant Hill.
Next Piston player highlighted is Dennis Rodman at number 67. And I think there's an argument for him to be higher just based on how many championships he won. 5 championships, 2 Defensive Player of the Years, 2 All-NBA selections, 2 All-Star appearances, 8-time All-NBA defense, and 7 rebounding titles. Just absolutely impressive. For his career, he averaged 13 rebounds and 7 points. I'm a Dennis Rodman guy till I die. Ryan, are you happy with where he's at 67?
Absolutely, because he's ahead of Kyrie. But that's not the only reason. And honestly, you had Joel Embiid at 66 right in front of him. And honestly, you can make a case that, I mean, I would make a case that Dennis Rodman was more impactful than Joel Embiid on his prospective team. But the difference is Joel Embiid can score, whereas Dennis struggled in that category. He could do it, but he's not as good, let's be honest. But if Dennis Rodman could score, oh my goodness, he would be significantly higher on this list. Based off of his numbers alone, if he could score, like dude would be averaging a double-double consistently every single game. And honestly, maybe even a triple-double. But oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine a Dennis Rodman that could score the ball. Because Dennis Rodman that could score the ball would be in the 20s, honestly, on this list. Because he was that dominant of a player. But no, 66, I'll take it. You're higher than Kyrie Irving. Oh, 67 rather. You're higher than Kyrie Irving. That's a win in my book. I kind of like Kyrie. I kind of don't, to be honest. Yes, he is a great ball handler, but is he the greatest ball handler of all time? No, that's Isaiah. Come on, people. But no, it's 67 for Dennis. I'll take it. When you think of the championship pedigree and then his Defensive Player of the Years, All-Star selection, his impact not only on the Pistons but on the Bulls, the fact that you had that large and significant of an impact, not just on one team, but 2 historically dominant teams. Like, come on. Like, those 2 teams are regarded as the best teams in NBA history in pure dominance in that category. And he was the key to both of them. Because I know, and that's a little bit bold of me to say, but he was. He was the key to both of them. Because you take away that rebounding, Lambeer can only do so much. Let's be honest. As far as rebounding goes. So that would have been a struggle there. And then you look at even the Bulls. there's not much to work with because outside of Jordan and Pippen, like, yeah, you had your great role players there, but they were role players. That's all they were. So, yeah, I think when you look at this list of things that he accomplished and the fact that he was impactful on two teams, and you have him at 67, I am perfectly fine with that because he should be getting love.
The next Pistons player highlighted is Isaiah Thomas, Zeke, at number 27 in the top 100 NBA all-time players. I am a little iffy on this one. I think he should be top 15, no doubt, just with the two-time champion, one-time finals MVP, 12-time all-star, five-time all NBA first team, and one-time assist champion with averaging 20 points and 10 assists over his 13-year career. Ryan, do you like where Isaiah Thomas is at 27?
Absolutely not. He should be higher, like you said, because I'm taking Isaiah. And then again, no disrespect to these guys, but I'm taking Zeke over Elton Baylor. I'm taking him over Charles Barkley. I'm taking him over Giannis, which Giannis I think could be much higher than what he is at 24. Just going to throw that out there.
Oh, yeah. Giannis is at 24?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Bleacher Report, they were doing something that day when this list came out. Dwayne Wade at 23. Dwayne Wade could be much higher on this list too. But I'm taking Isaiah Thomas over Dwayne Wade. I'm taking Zeke over Karl Malone. I'm taking Zeke over Moses Malone. I'm taking Zeke over Dr. J. I'm taking Zeke over David Robinson. I'm taking, now this is a little iffy now, but I'm taking Zeke over Dirk. I'm taking Zeke over Nikola Jokic.
I love Dirk.
I'm taking Zeke over Kevin Garnett, over Jerry West, over Oscar Robertson, over Kevin Durant, over, okay. I'll stick him at 13 because I can't have him over Hakeem. Hakeem was just, I mean, he was the dream. Kobe at 11 is crazy to me. I'm just going to throw that out there. Steph Curry at 10, a little crazy too, because I think he could be a little bit lower than 10 in the regards to the where in the if Kobe's 11, then Curry should be like 15 or something. Like, I don't know. But no, I think Zeke could be much higher than a lot of those guys that I listed off. And yes, that was kind of controversial that I just went down the list of guys that he could be ahead of. And they all happen to be first ballot Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers. So there's that. So you can roast me if you want. But no, I'm taking, if you're talking impact, Kevin Durant needed to join the Warriors to win a championship. Boom, drop the mic. Oscar Robertson, triple-double machine. By far one of the best players in NBA history. But if you're talking overall impact, again, I'm taking Isaiah Thomas over Oscar Robertson on his prospective team because that meant multiple championships and multiple championship runs where Oscar Robertson had the one championship. Yes, I'm not taking that away from him. Fantastic player. But when you look at Zeke and what his impact was with his team, yes, I would take him. Jerry West, he went to how many championships and he could only win one? Like, come on. Now, the multiple championship runs, impressive. But I'm always going to hate on the Lakers because I'm a Pistons fan. So, yes, he should be higher than Jerry West. Kevin Garnett, I think, is a little questionable. I think that was 50-50 for me just because of impact alone. But I'm still taking Zeke. Nikola Jokic still hasn't accomplished as much as what I think he should have accomplished by now. And that's why I would say to take Zeke over him. And that's not disrespecting Jokic, but I would have assumed the last the last season or so has been a little bit on the rougher side. And it's not out of him. It's because I expected more out of him, and the team just failed. Dirk, I love Dirk. And that one, it's always hard to go over Dirk, but it's Zeke. David Robinson, I think that one is controversial. I think Robinson could be much higher on this list. But yeah, needless to say, I'm fine with Isaiah Thomas where he is, but he should be much higher than what he is at the same time. Because I'm sorry, there's like a lot of these guys where it's like, I love D Wade. He is by far one of my favorite players to watch growing up. But I'm taking Isaiah Thomas over you any day. And he would take Isaiah Thomas over himself too. Let's be honest. But yeah, so I think this list is bogus. I don't think they actually know what they're talking about, because you can't tell me all of Bleacher Report's staff came together and made this blind list. Because, like, I'm sorry, like, Giannis at 24? Like, are you kidding me?
That's wild work. Absolute wild work.
Dwayne Wade at 23, Kobe at 11 is crazy to me, because more often than not,
6.
He's talked about as one of the best players in NBA history, and oftentimes gets thrown into the conversation with Jordan and LeBron, which he should not ever be in, but he does. And you have him at 11. This list, it gets me pumped up a little bit. But no, I'm fine with Zeke where he is in regards to where he could have been, because let's be honest, based off this list, he probably could have been in the 40s. So I am perfectly fine with Zeke at 27.
There's our reaction to Bleacher Report's top 100 players in all of the NBA's history. Make sure to comment below your thoughts on where the Pistons players lined up. We had 6 players on the top 100 list, so that's not too bad. You know, you can always make an argument for a couple others to be on, a couple players that got shorted, snubbed, but make sure to comment below your thoughts on where you thought the Pistons ended up. The next topic we are going to talk about is Rajon Rondo wants to mentor Cade Cunningham. It's been circulating in the sports world for the last week, where Rajon Rondo was on the Run It Back podcast, and he expressed a desire to mentor the young guard, Cade Cunningham, praising him for being a 3-level scorer and saying how he has such great playmaking potential. Quote, if I can get Cade to understand how to manage the game, because he's a 3-level scorer, he can manipulate the game on both ends of the floor. So if I can get my hands on Cade Cunningham, I think he could become that one type of point guard. It only takes a few tweaks, and then it's also about the personnel the Pistons have. If he has to be the man, if he has to go out and get 30, then that's what he has to do. But then if he had 2 more superstars in the game, he wouldn't have to manage and go get 30 points every night. End quote. Ryan, I think it's nice hearing about former NBA players talking about current guys, about saying, hey, if he does this or does that, he could really take that next step. And it's also cool hearing that Cade only needs a few more tweaks from being an absolute great player in today's NBA. And former NBA talent like a Rajon Rondo knows the eye test, know what it takes to be great. And for him to say that there's only a few more tweaks to make Cade great, I think that's good to hear as Pistons fans.
Well, I think it's great to hear. When you look at what Rondo accomplished in a short period of time with the Celtics, growing up, whenever you thought of the Celtics during that time, you either thought of Kevin Garnett, or you thought of Paul Pierce, or Rajon Rondo. And to me, it was always Rondo that I thought of. And that's no disrespect, because it sounds like I've been very disrespectful when we've been recording today, to a lot of these NBA Hall of Famers. But no, whenever I thought of the Celtics, I thought of Rondo, because when you're playing 2K, you're not necessarily, at least me, I would always love the speedy point guard that can just do whatever he wants. And that was Rondo. And Rondo's right. Yes, Cade only needs a couple tweaks. And Rondo knew how to manipulate the game, because and again, no disrespect, but there's no reason why he should have been as highly regarded of a player as he was. Because he didn't have the intangibles that a lot of the guys had. He's not massive. He's not 6 foot whatever. He's not some freak of an athlete. He is just a great basketball player. Not saying that he isn't athletic, because he is, clearly. But no, like, what Rondo could do, if you combine Rondo and his passing ability with Cade, and where Cade is at right now, oh my goodness. Yeah, like, those are the couple tweaks that I think Rondo is referring to, is you upgrade Cade with the passing ability a little bit more and try to, like, manipulate the defense to think you're going one way but go the other. as what Cade has already kind of done this far, like, yeah, I think I know what he's referring to as in that point guard, because that point guard, let's be honest, it's Magic Johnson. That's that point guard that he's referring to, because Cade isn't like any of these other point guards in NBA history. He isn't like Isaiah Thomas. He isn't like Chauncey Billups. He is his own point guard because he is 6'7", has a 6'1" plus wingspan, which is absurd. And then, not to mention, he can put the ball on the floor. He can pass. He can defend. He can shoot. Like, he can do everything you would want in Magic Johnson, pretty much. We're getting borderline there. We're not there yet, but we're getting borderline there. So I think the couple tweaks, if you add just a little bit more to Cade and based off this past season alone, oh my God, honestly, the NBA probably would have been promoting the Pistons to beat the Knicks. Let's be honest, that would have happened, but it didn't because the NBA loves the Knicks. But no, I think the couple tweaks is the cool thing about the message, is the fact that he just needs a couple more tweaks. Like, not just, oh yeah, he needs to add like 5 or 6 things. He needs a couple more. Couple he usually refers to as 2. So he needs a couple, meaning 2 more things added to his arsenal to be that kind of player. Like, that's impressive. That's high praise. And so I think if Cade were to do that, oh my goodness, this would be a completely different conversation. And honestly, you could make a case for being Cade being on the top 100 players of all time list based off of this next up and coming season if he adds those next couple things that Rondo's referring to.
Well, and as far as the respect Rondo had regarding fellow NBA players, he was so well respected during his tenure in the NBA. And Rondo used to be one of my guys growing up. I just loved like the pass first point guard, and just he was so fun to watch. His highlights are insane. I recommend going watching Rajon Rondo highlights. And he was always held in this regard of like eyes in the back of his head as far as regarding his just stellar passing and finding guys like Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and really just helping those guys succeed in whatever aspect they needed him to play in. And I think with adding a pass first thought process to Cade Cunningham's game makes him that much more dangerous. And every team in the NBA knows that Cade has that mid-range game, that he can get those floaters to drop. You know, from time to time, he's going to make 7 threes in an NBA game. They know that he wants to work off Jalen Duren and get those lobs up to him high up above the rim. I think if Cade added a pass first offense like Rondo maybe has in mind for him, it makes him so unpredictable when going up against teams that play him 4 times a year, like the New York Knicks, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics. When you play a player 4 times a year, you kind of learn to know what to expect, what players he wants to go after when they're defending him, when he's going to be aggressive, when he wants to pull back and find Asar Thompson on the wing and these types of plays. I think bringing in a guy like Rajon Rondo would add a great dynamic to Cade Cunningham's game. Obviously, when giving out hypotheticals of hires, adding players to teams, it's all kind of fantasy land. But I would love if JB Bickerstaff was like, oh, Rondo, you want to, talk to Cade? Let's make it happen. Let's sign the dotted line and bring him to Detroit. I think it'd be great to see Rajon on the sidelines working with Cade Cunningham. And if you follow the Detroit Pistons pretty closely, you know that former NBA player Jarrett Jack is basically dedicated strictly to Cade Cunningham and watching film, working with him on the court. They have a great dynamic, but giving Cade Cunningham 2 former players like Jarrett Jack and Rajon Rondo to redefine his game, I think would be really, really cool. The next topic we're going to talk about, this is a controversial one, so I know this is probably what the people have been waiting for. And before we get into it, I want to note that we do not have all the details. We do not have all the info. We do not know all the things going on legally, but we have to talk about it because he is big in the Pistons world right now. Malik Beasley thinks he's going to be a Detroit Piston next season. So just fair warning, we don't know all the details, but we're going to talk about it. Um, Unfortunately, during the offseason, we found out everything that was going on with Malik Beasley. As a fan base as a whole, we were hoping the Pistons would make a big splash to upgrade the roster. And one of those biggest things to keep the roster great was going to be re-signing Malik Beasley. But unfortunately, with the news of a gambling investigation dropping, that kind of put everything at a halt. So the Pistons had to pivot their plans of re-signing the veteran sharpshooter in free agency, leaving Malik Beasley's future in the NBA in jeopardy. In the eyes of many, the serious allegations suggested that Beasley would not be in the NBA in the immediate future. These quotes are coming from MSN.com. Recent reportings from a former teammate of Beasley, however, shed a different light on the situation. Everyone knows Patrick Beverley spent time with Beasley with the Minnesota Timberwolves, revealed in the latest episode of his podcast that the former Pistons shooting guard, quote, seems like he's going to be on a roster next season, end quote. This is a quote from Beverley during his recording of his podcast. He was in real good spirits talking about Beasley. I was able to chop it up with him. His mouth, his demeanor seems like he's in a good place. He's confident. He seems like he's going to be on a roster next season. Quote, hey, I'm telling you what he felt. I'm not telling you what the truth is, Pat Beverley on Malik Beasley. According to offseason reporting, the Pistons were prepared to give Beasley a 3-year, $42 million deal. Even if Beasley gets cleared to play in the NBA, it will be near impossible for him to get anything close to that amount. At the bare minimum, the 28-year-old has cost himself tens of millions of dollars during this process. How much of that will he be able to recoup, if any, whether he will be in the NBA anytime soon? So I think as a whole, I'm speaking for Pistons fans, that we want Malik Beasley on the Detroit Pistons. He was a big part of the good image the Detroit Pistons had last season, a vocal leader, but not just a vocal leader off the court, but also proved it on the court by playing just absolutely lights out and setting records for the Detroit Pistons. What are some of your thoughts on what we're hearing from Patrick Beverley? I think we all know that Malik Beasley is a positive guy, so he's always going to have a positive outlook. Ryan, where's your head at? Because there's so many different opinions, hot takes on this situation.
To me, Patrick Beverley does not necessarily beat around the bush. He normally is very straightforward and straight to the point. So this coming out of him is more of like, okay, yeah, he probably did meet up with Beasley. Beasley probably did suggest that he was going to be on the Pistons next year. That's probably true. But there's a reason why Patrick Beverley is also not in the NBA currently, and there's a reason why he went to go play overseas, and that's because nobody wants him. And I don't want to bring that up because that's the important part in this, but I respect Patrick Beverley, one of my highly regarded players in NBA history. But to me, with this situation, yes, you can get that feeling from a person when they're kind of like they're feeling. You can get feelings from someone, right? You can understand and relate to them, and you can understand why he might have gotten, okay, Patrick Beverley suggesting that he's going to be on the Pistons next year. Yes, you can feel that way. But when we're looking at the whole situation and what transpired to lead to even where we're at right now, where Beasley's saying, yep, I'll be on the Pistons roster next year. You think of what kind of transpired and the image with it. Yes, Pistons fans all would say, yes, we want Beasley back. I'm saying I want Beasley back based off of what he did performance-wise and statistics-wise last year. I want that back because that was massive for us. But do I want him back as a whole based off of what transpired this offseason combined with the player that he was last year for us? I'm not sold. And the reason I am not sold is because I think if we were to sign him again, even if the media comes out and it's like, yep, Beasley is in the clear, even if that happened, I think just there would be a negative overall image on our team more so than what it usually is if we were to re-sign Beasley. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing either. But I don't know what that would look like for our team, because last year there were a lot of fans in the NBA outside of us Pistons fans that actually gave us love. They actually gave us credit. Now, not a lot, because let's be honest, they were still hating on us, because at the end of the day, it's Detroit versus everybody. But I think there was a lot more of a positive outlook on the Pistons and where they could go with their roster last year than what it could be this upcoming season if we were to re-sign Beasley. Because a lot of people, no matter what it is, they always look for the negative in somebody. And I think this is a big negative, because if you're a casual sports fan, you know about Malik Beasley right now. Let's be honest, you do. If you don't know anything about the NBA and you're just a normal casual, like I'm like, let's say you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, because that's usually a casual bandwagon fan. They're still going to know about Malik Beasley. Everybody is still going to know about Malik Beasley. So it's just, until it's like completely threaded out and out of the waters, I think there's still going to be this negative sight and view and perspective on the Pistons if they were to go out and sign him still. But, bad boys, woo. So, but no, to me, it's tough, because the player, I absolutely love the player. And I honestly liked the person too. And everybody makes mistakes. There's a reason for that. Everybody makes mistakes. Is this as crucial of a mistake as you could possibly make? Honestly, out of anything that it could have been, this is not that bad. It really isn't. It's sports betting. It's not the end of the world. When the NBA goes out and promotes it on all platforms, saying anyone can do this, and then you crack down on your players after you said anyone can do this, it's tough. So to me, it's a mind game right now, because as the player, oh, absolutely do I want Malik Beasley back on the Pistons. Do I want Beasley back from the eyes of the person and the mistakes he's made to get him to where he's at right now? I don't know, but it's sports betting. It's not the end of the world. So I'm 50-50. I think there's a good 20% chance he will be on the Pistons next year. Obviously, the other 80. Yep, 80% is most likely not. So I think it's up in the air. If Beasley's coming out and saying it, that he has a feeling he's going to be on the Pistons, then he's probably been in talks with Langdon. Because I don't think he's just going to come out right and say, like, oh, yeah, I'll be on the Pistons next year, and then he's not. I think they are in conversations. I think the reason why he hasn't get brought up in the media recently is because there really isn't that much there, and the NBA is just cracking down on certain things. Now the apartment and not paying rent, I don't know that much detail on that side of things. But I mean, his apartment is where? New York? And then that would make sense for New York, out of complaints, in that category. But no, I think I think it's an 80-20 right now. I think there's a 20% chance he will be on the Pistons next year. I'm not going to go any higher than that, because 20% seems pretty high already. So the player, if we got that same player back, oh, absolutely. But who's to say we get that same player and production back? Because you added in Karis LeVert, you added in Duncan Robinson, you bring in Chaz Lanier in the draft. There's a couple tweaks to this roster that you didn't have last year that kind of replaces Malik Beasley. So I don't know what he would look like next year and if he would be as productive if we were to bring him back. But I would not be opposed.
Two things before we wrap up episode number 26 of season 3. I was reading a few articles. Malik Beasley's lawyer came out and said, quote, he is innocent till proven guilty. They always say that. But, he is trying to manage the damage that can possibly put on Malik Beasley's reputation. Second thing, you mentioned how Malik Beasley and Trajan Langdon have most likely been in conversations. I would happen to agree with that, and we have not gotten a public statement from Trajan Langdon on any game plans they possibly have for re-signing Malik Beasley. My other thing before we wrap up today's episode is, if Malik Beasley is not guilty and he is in the NBA next season, I think he will be with the Detroit Pistons. I also think if issues happen, if anybody signs him or if he has a future in the NBA, any sort of future in the NBA, no matter what it looks like, what the contract is, how long, whatever, I think it will be with the Detroit Pistons. I think he has a good relationship with Trajan Langdon. As far as percentage, I'm right around in the same ballpark, probably as 20%. I was immediately thinking like a 30% chance. Obviously, we don't know the severity of things yet. And time will tell. It's kind of a soft topic because it's like, it's still kind of new, and what's going to transpire in these next couple of months as the NBA season quickly approaches. And also, it seems like every couple of weeks there's new details getting added to the case in the negative side for Beasley. So it's like, you never know, like, okay, what's going to come out next week, or in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see what transpires with this whole situation. Make sure to comment below your thoughts on the situation going on with Malik Beasley. Do you want the Pistons to re-sign him? Do you want him to just kind of move on? Do you think he's going to be in the NBA next season? Just give us your hot takes, opinions on what's going on with Malik Beasley's situation. That will do it for episode number 26 of season 3. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.